Hello, good morning, my friends. It's summer pajama time. I don't even have a jacket on this morning. I am so excited. If you have been around for a while, you know I get quite chilly down here in my basement studio. And if you're brand new, welcome to Painting in Your PJs with Minette. Can you tell I've had a lot of coffee this morning? My amazing husband went to the gym and came home with a beautiful cup of coffee from our favorite coffee shop here in the Loveland, Colorado area. So painting in your PJs is all about using art as a creative process for personal growth and transformation. I have found art heals and is one of the just best ways to bypass our busy overthinking heads and help us find the answers that we're seeking. Specifically, I love working with women in their 50s and 60s who are really struggling to answer some of those big questions like, who am I now? And where do I go from here? Or what's my purpose? As life shifts, our bodies changes, it can bring up so many really painful moments where we feel like we're spinning. And one of my favorite tools for working with finding purpose. Good morning from Switzerland. Great to see you. One of the quickest ways that I have found to get out of my head is to get my hands into paint or markers or even crayons, make marks to move energy. And intuitive collage specifically is a powerful tool for accessing what's happening in our unconscious. In fact, my son and I created, did I move them? Here they are, a really beautiful deck of 52 prompts for working with intuitive collage. And I'm really loving these. So throughout the month of June, the little bit that I'm around, I have a lot of travel coming up in June. So I'll be popping on live when I can and then back full time in July. And I'm going to be on the road a lot. And good morning, Yvonne. Yeah, art is so healing and helpful. And these prompts, I think, are such a powerful way to get sort of below the surface of our art and to find that deeper meaning. And because I have a ton of travel coming up in June, including my daughter is graduating from university, yay! And then I have a weekend or kind of a long weekend away with some of my art besties, and I can't wait. I'm so excited. And so I'm going to be traveling quite a bit. And I thought, how can I continue my art practice, especially my collage practice on the road, and keep it simple? I've been having a lot of fun working on individual cards, which is kind of messy when you travel. Well, I'm starting to clean up my studio this weekend because I am hosting an art retreat here in my studio next week. And I was looking around at my bookshelves, putting some other books away, and sitting on my bookshelf was an old Moonology diary from 2022. It's such a beautiful cover and it's really flexible and it's kind of a small-ish size for me, the perfect size for creating collage in. So what I want to do today is start creating this journal. I'll probably come back over the weekend and get this journal finished up and dive into some intuitive collage. I won't be going live after, I'll probably go, I don't know. So, you'll get notified if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get notified when I'm live. I'm going to be a little unpredictable for the next couple of weeks. And, but I wanted to have something small and portable that I can work in. Isn't it gorgeous? So I love this cover. I didn't want to throw away the book. I tore out a couple of the image-based pages of moons for some collage practices. Every night I have been, next week we're doing a retreat called the Time Travelers Retreat, and it's all collage based. So I have been tearing up magazines and books like crazy, but I love this. I don't want to lose the moon, but I want to paint out the rest of the cover and turn this into a handmade book. So today I want to paint the cover, and I'm going to do that just in my normal fun sort of abstract way, but I'm going to start by putting a layer of gesso down on the cover. That'll give it more tooth, make it a little bit easier to paint over the top of. And if you have any old calendars like this lying around, I don't know about the rest of you, I'm a bit of a planner junkie, but I tend to buy planners more than I tend to use planners. I always end up just using my journal and my Google Calendar. I think I finally have a system that really works for me. And I wanted to have something I could travel with this month that I could take with me wherever I'm going. We're driving to Eugene, Oregon, where my daughter is graduating with so many honors. I'm so proud of her, and giving the commencement address for her history department graduation. I am one proud mama. So I knew I was going to need something that it's going to be, let me move that out of the way, a little glary here for a minute. So I need something portable and simple. I don't want to lose that moon. And I'm probably going to continue to paint the whole cover with this fun sort of galaxy look, but with acrylic paints, which means I'm going to be messy, and I might need to go grab an apron, because as soon as I start splattering paint, things go kind crazy. Lisa, I saw your picture of being at a concert last night. I'm so jealous. That looked like so much fun. What a fun date night too. I hope it was a good concert, and I'm impressed that you're up here early with me this morning. All right. I love that that little piece of that moon is kind of shining through there. I love that we can still see this. And hang tight with me here for just a second. I'm going to go grab an apron and some water, because of course I didn't decide what I wanted to do this morning till about 30 seconds ago, and everything is on the other side of the studio. Hang tight. All right. Oh, it was last week. Okay. Well, you know how social is when they just show you things randomly. I'm glad it was fun. So I love splattering with paint. That's how you get that really fun sort of galaxy effect. But paint splatters go everywhere, so I probably am going to cover up my keyboard here as well, cover up my pajamas, so my husband doesn't freak out that I'm getting paint all over absolutely everything. And when I walked by my big studio table, this piece of collage that I cut out this morning popped out at me. And since this is going to be a collage inspired book, I love it. She's got, her hands are all full of, I think, threads on there, like she's getting ready to stitch or to sew, or maybe they're flowers. She has a crown of flowers, but I really love her. So maybe she's gonna end up on this cover a little bit, which is interesting. She's kind of complementary colors here. Those sort of orangey yellows would be the complements of blue and purple. So we'll see. She might want to end up on the cover of this book. So I'm just waiting for this to dry and rambling a little bit. All right. You ever have one of those mornings when your head is just super, super full of things? I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And of course, my dryer is on the other side of the room. I also, as I was cleaning up this morning, this spiral stamp really caught my attention, and so somehow I need to get, this is a handmade phone stamp. I love making my own handmade stamps, and I wanted to get some of these spirals in here as well. And I have all this tons of heavy body acrylic paint that my awesome mommy gave me. When she was cleaning out her studio. And heavy body paints can be great for stamping with, but when you are, I think I want that small one. When you are stamping with them, you want to make sure that you get an even coverage of paint, but that you don't get that paint too thick on your stamp if you want a really clean stamp. I am the queen of getting way too much paint down. And I'm going to start the painting of this cover pretty much the same way I would start any other mixed media art journal page. And I'm just going to follow my intuition here and start getting some color and some marks down on the page. Okay, I love that blue. That's a nice phthalo blue. It's a phthalo blue primary blue. I also like a phthalo blue green shade, and I'm going to let go of that moon, but I'm not going to let go of this piece over here. So I think what I want to do, let me find a piece of scrap paper here. There's a beautiful bird that is not scrap paper. Here's a piece of book paper that'll work great. It's amazing when you just start to look around your studio what you can find, right? And even the inside covers of this are really fun. I'm probably going to cover this up with some fabric or maybe some fun washi tape to create some even edges. I'm a messy painter, so the inside of this is going to probably end up with as much paint on it as the outside. So I want to cover up this beautiful moon image here because I don't want to get that covered in paint. So this is the perfect size. I'm just going to trace a circle on here. I'm going to cut out this circle. I'm such a goofball. This is like one of those moments where I needed to order some new scissors for the retreat next week, so people had some nice small scissors for fussy cutting. And my favorites are my Cutter Bee scissors, which all need to get cleaned and sharpened. I love these for collage. And apparently I don't know my measurements because what I ended up with were these itty bitty teeny tiny scissors. And at first I'm like, oh no. But what I discovered this morning is that they actually fit my hand and they are so sneaky sharp that they are perfect for fussy cutting. So it was a little bit of a happy accident. Wasn't quite expecting them, but it also took a really long time to cut things. But if you're someone that loves fussy cutting, having a sharp pair of scissors is essential addition to your creative practice. All right, there we go. And do I have, I don't even have any washi tape. I'm feeling disorganized this morning. I'm not usually here on a Friday, and I was scurrying around trying to start cleaning up my studio. So I'm just going to be mindful and we'll hold that there for the moment. And hopefully while I'm fussing around, this is getting a little bit more dry. I'm going to come in with a little more of this blue. Yeah, that gesso underneath is still wet. It's fascinating when you're starting to work with a variety of different substrates. What you'll notice is that the paint dries differently on different substrates, right? The paint dries differently on different substrates. Okay, so I'm going to get a few different blues going in here. If I can get this open. All right. Sometimes one of the things I've noticed, if they get gummed up underneath and they're hard to get open, just drop them in your bucket of water and let them sit for a couple of minutes and it'll loosen that paint under the lid. Let's see, I'm looking for some different shades of blue in here. So when I look at continuing something like this, I'm noticing the variations in the blues. I'm using a heavy body acrylic paint on this cover because I want nice coverage on this book cover. And I'm being inspired by this sort of galaxy image, and I want to continue that on the rest of the cover while still making it my own a little bit. Let's see, I might want a little bit of this Payne's gray for a little bit of dark in there. And this violet is always hard to get open. Oh, today it's happy with me. You can see there's just a little bit of purple in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I've got a variety of blues and one purple, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of white so that we can vary up the shades of the sky in the background. And the last few days that I was on here live, we talked a lot about using a scraper to layer on paint to get those really translucent, transparent layers. But that's not what I want today because I'm trying to get coverage of all the text and the title and bits and pieces that were under there. So I am going to work with a brush today. Okay, that blue just is not going to come open. And I'm going to start with a big brush for this first layer. And I want to come back also to this idea that making art is so good for us. It's so funny. I'm a total marketing geek, and I was watching someone else's Facebook ad today talking about, she is a licensed art therapist, talking about, how art has the power to transform our lives more effectively than talk therapy, even coaching, so many different approaches to the way that we seek help. And I have found that nothing has worked as well for me personally as a combination of art and different types of movement. I've been doing some breath work with a friend, which has been really powerful and challenging. So I'm simply having fun. But one of the things that I'm noticing as I'm looking at this is because I'm using this big flat brush right now, all the marks are the same, right? All the marks are the same. And I want there to definitely be more variety. Also notice I'm just layering the colors one on top of each other without thinking too much about it. And in doing this breath work combined with my own creative practices, what I'm finding is that it helps me shift the energy, because so often what happens is that I am looking for a scrap of a piece of paper to clean my paintbrush off on, because so often what happens is we can talk something to death, but we don't clear out the remnants, the little threads. So thank you. I'm loving it too. So when we're holding on to different stories, we can talk about them at the level of the head. We can even feel the grief at the level of heart, or some sadness, right? Or some anger and rage. One of the things that came up for me yesterday was my inner 5 and 6-year-old was pretty pissed off about things that had happened when I was a kid, specifically feeling like I got shushed a lot. The memory came up yesterday of me and my cousin. Two of my cousins were taking ballet lessons, and my older cousin was really good at it and had the ideal build for a ballerina. And in front of us, the ballet teacher told probably my aunt, not, I don't know that my mom was there, that we weren't the right size for ballet. We were both pretty chubby, and as many 5 and 6 year old kids are, and that we should give it up and not waste our time. And those things stick with you, right? And I have always loved to dance, but certainly after that, never pursued it. And I have similar stories around art. That idea of, well, if you're not excellent at it, don't waste your time. And somewhere along the way, we have become so obsessed with perfection that we've lost the opportunity to play and to learn and to experience the new. And so I'm pissed off about that. And the breath work yesterday really allowed me to access those emotions in a way that talking about it never has for me. Okay, so I'm just cleaning off things on this page, so I'm going to end up with a really pretty piece of mixed media collage paper. So this is why I paint every morning or draw or color or write, because we're holding on to so much. There's a lot happening all over the world right now. Emotions are high. And sometimes it feels challenging to just get through a day. But if we can start the day from this place of calm and pouring our heart out onto the page, then we start in a healthier place. We start from a place of wholeness rather than a place of fragmentation or discontent, right? And so think about how you in the morning could spend, and all of us can do this, right? If we're committed, we can do this. Just 15 minutes a day of putting color on the page can change an entire day, change our outlook, change how we approach the day, help us be in the place of opportunity and possibility instead of worry and concern. Yes, my dear, this is a handmade fun foam stamp made out of sticky backed thin foam that I cut and then adhered to this bigger piece of thick foam. And if you search on my channel, I don't remember when it was, but sometime last year, I did a whole tutorial on how to create our own foam stamps. I love making my own foam stamps. So this is super, super wet and needs to dry completely, or I need to go walk over. Let me see, maybe I have, is my other dryer in here? I don't think so. They all got put away. Oh, but I turned that thing around and I found this is the best gold paint ever. I also love this, was a recommendation from one of my friends, this Amsterdam acrylics pewter color is gorgeous. So I'm thinking not so much the gold, but maybe some of this pewter needs to get worked in to my design here. And here's a place that was really hard for me to get to in my own creative practice. You try to draw in the morning and meditating. Yes, and I love drawing meditations, breathing, writing, there's so many different ways to approach it. And I found that when I combine art with my morning practice, I feel better. So for me, this is where it requires patience because I'm having so much fun And wouldn't it be amazing if I could just keep painting? Now, I could if I went and got my dryer, but even the dryer won't dry this completely. And I'm really loving these juicy layers. So this is where it's really important to have more than one thing at a time to work on. So I am going to, I'm seeing where there's a little bit of chunky stuff, maybe smooth some of that out. And even though I'm talking lots for whatever reason on this paper substrate, that paint is not drying as fast as it normally does. It is very dry here in Colorado, and my paint dries super fast. So I'm going to set this aside for just a minute to let it dry. And I am going to come back. First, I'm going to step on my microphone. So I have been in love with this little girl on that collage. So while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to come back over here. And I have been doing a lot of my own inner child work lately. She has needed a lot of attention from me. And there's something about this little girl. This is one of my favorite things to do. Still is one of my favorite things to do, is just to be outside and to be by myself, to sit and look. There's something that could be nostalgic or even sorrowful, like she's sitting looking at her home. The lights are on, so it looks like maybe the sun is setting in the house. So there's a story that's going to emerge here. And what's interesting is this one is more the colors of this journal than Our Lady. But there's something about her. Nope, she's the right one. But I don't know, right? So this is that intuitive part where I'm just trusting the journey. And I really want that cover to dry faster, but that's okay because I'm going to play with this collage, and I'm really drawn to these red flowers this morning. And I love this quote, so it's going to get saved for later. Do not like those scissors. And I'm just going to start piecing things together. There's no magic to the process here. Maybe these are background. Those don't go at all. Maybe one of these little, I'm being pulled to this pink today. Maybe she's watching a fish jump, which brings that element of play and whimsy back into the design here. And so really what you're seeing this morning is a glimpse into my personal creative practice where I'm moving from one project to another. I have a couple of books from Allie Manning's Handmade Book Club, which I absolutely love. If you're not a member, highly recommend checking out the Handmade Book Club if you love making your own handmade books. And so I have a couple of projects on the go, and realized that the paper was the wrong size that I had cut. So this morning already I have cleaned off my desk, I have trimmed paper, I prepped a canvas for painting. So being okay with having multiple projects on the go. So there's something here. It's so interesting because the collage that I created yesterday was an adult woman, also surrounded by nature and water. And I'm wondering there maybe is a story that's emerging here that really represents the threads of my life and how important my connection to nature has always been. So the story's starting to appear, and that paint is still really wet on that cover. I really want it to dry, can you tell? So this is where I get impatient. So I'm loving all of these pieces, but those don't feel right. But maybe, look at this gorgeous root ball here. And I can notice when I start to feel resistance or when I start to get too attached to something, and I realize I was kind of attached to the water here and what was going on. Yet what I know is most potent about intuitive collage is when I let go of that attachment and I take the time to cut that image away from all or part of its background. And start to make it my own. Like, it's not about the house here. It is something about solitude in nature. Still kind of like that fish. And sometimes we start to look at things and realize, well, okay, I don't have the right images, so I need to go on a bit of an image hunt. So I recently reread the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, which I think I read in high school or sometime as a young adult, and I loved it so much. Reading it again as an adult was a completely different experience. I think I got it more than I did when I was a kid. Okay, what I'm feeling is this is going to have a painty background for all of these things to lay on. I'm loving all of the pieces that are coming together, but I'm wondering if there's something here with me and Jonathan Livingston Seagull that's going to be that visual reminder of the story. And if you don't know the story, your English teacher had us watch the movie, yeah, with the music by Neil Diamond. Yvonne, I think that was what it was. And his commitment to following his own path, to being completely authentic, really spoke to, that 18, 19-year-old, I don't remember when I read it, who was trying to make my own way, to have that sense of identity and independence from my parents, right? To figure out who was I. I never felt like I belonged. I always felt different from the other kids because I was a deep thinker, right? I was philosophical and introspective. All right, let me get some more of this darker blue. I didn't have pictures of boys on the walls of my bedroom. I had pictures of unicorns and animals. I was a voracious reader. My mom said I was a voracious reader from the time that I learned to read. Always had a book in my hand. I used to drive my parents crazy. We'd go on these awesome summer driving trips, and I would always have my head in a book. All right. So clearly there's also something about this moon galaxy images. You all complained at the beginning, but you ended up loving it. Yeah, because it is that story of freedom, of expression, right? Of authenticity, of finding your purpose in your path. Okay, I think this is asking for one of these spirals on here also. Notice I'm just using this makeup brush for painting. Also, not a brush. Again, the way these different tools get paint onto a substrate is unique, so it's important to play with those different tools to find what supports you the best. Getting my hands all painty, which I love. All of a sudden it's starting to look like the cover of my book that I painted. Now this one also needs to dry. Okay, there it is. Now that story, that sort of spiraling sense of self-discovery. Okay, so now that I have the paint on the background, I need a seagull, and that's all it needs. I'm gonna let this dry, glue her down, and find a picture of a seagull to go on the cover. But I love this all by itself as well. So things are coming together, stories are emerging, and see how our cover over here is doing. Oh, it's getting dry-ish. All right, I'm going to play on the back cover over here for a minute and see where I get to. So I want to brighten and lighten this whole thing up a bit with some transparency so that I can still see the color and texture underneath. Oh, Diego's bringing me his squeaky mouse. He's been carrying it around the house for days. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of matte medium, and I'm going to, did you bring me your mouse? Let's see. Maybe I'm going to try a little bit of that teal in there, so let's start to brighten this up a little bit. And hi buddy, hi buddy. There's my, and a little bit of that phthalo blue. And a palette knife. And I'm working on a piece of newsprint. I love newsprint for my underpapers because it makes great collage material. One of my dear friends and artists that I think uses this newsprint really beautifully and has a lot of demos on what she does with it and how she creates with it is Robin Marie Smith. Okay, so where did my Starbucks card go? Oh, this isn't too bad. Hi, yes, I know. You want to come up and say good morning? Come on. Hi. The cats always have to come by for a morning snuggle. George is the one who likes to be on the table, but my big chunky Diego boy here loves to be in my lap. So he says good morning to everybody. I call it just like drive-by affection. So that still feels way too dark. I'm not yet getting the transparency that I want, so I'm going to add more matte medium. And I need to watch the clock because I have a appointment at the top of the hour. Okay, that's better. So see how that's so much more transparent there, and I can see more of the layers underneath. I don't want to lose all of that. And then I'm going to take the Starbucks card here. Just a clean edge now that doesn't have paint on it. Oh, interesting. It went all the way back to the text. Okay, that wasn't quite what I wanted. Oh, look at that. Moon's coming back. Okay, interesting. So we're going to have to go in with that thicker layer. So what I just discovered was that this cover, even with the gesso on it, because it has a slight glossy sheen, not a completely matte finish, that even the gesso isn't sticking. It's going to scratch right off. So next time I might add a layer of matte medium to a surface like this and a layer of gesso to see if I could make that stick just a little bit better. Okay, so I think I'm going to try something. Right, Lisa? But yet it's that expectation. Oh, there's some interesting words on here, so maybe those words want to just stay. And I'm going to see if I can take this and I want to just bring back some of the color and the texture a little bit. You guys know I obsess over my baby wipes in the studio, but using all the tools at hand to really create that mixed media texture is important. So I'm loving, it says change, bringing change, manifest, good luck, energies, right? So there's some fun words in there that I'm just going to leave that little bit of text showing through there. And then I'm trying to decide, I may do something completely different. Actually, I may put a layer of matte medium over this to see if I can seal it in a little bit more before coming in with another layer of paint. I want to get rid of the label up there. But yeah, there's some fun words in there. Okay. So I'm going to have to stop messing with this. I will finish painting it up at a later date. And now I have all this lovely paint on here. And sometime this weekend I will record the bookmaking part of where do I go from here with making the book. So I will be using a mixed media paper inside the book and a manila folder to create the inside of my book. So if you want to create a book along with me, grab a recycled old manila folder that is bigger than the side of your book and some of your favorite papers. Because I'm going to do collage on it, I want a little heavier substrate for those papers. This is almost the right size for a signature, so this would be fun. Also, maybe I will do a little bit of junk journal work and stick some other papers that are already painty inside the book as well, but I'm trying to use up some of that paint, then put that paint somewhere where the cats will not get into it. I still have some in here. Okay, so really now looking at this by itself away from the cover, I absolutely love it. I'm trying to decide. I almost think that I maybe want to go all the way back to that moon. Yeah, that paint is not sticking at all. Good lesson learned. We don't know until we try. Ah, love it. Love that moon coming back. Love these little bits of words here. It's almost like some found poetry on the page. I didn't want that orangey text under there. And the next step here would be to do some fun splatter painting on this. And I want to show the splatter painting and then I will be done for today and finish up the rest later. Let me find a I'm going to completely cover up this side with a clean piece of paper for right now. You probably all have done splatter painting before, but just in case you haven't, you can have some fun with me. Clean off this scraper here. Always trying to clean off brushes, scrapers, palette knives, right? Put as little acrylic paint as possible into our water system. I'm going to get this white down. This is a Liquitex fluid white, so it's already pretty watery. I'm going to take a round brush instead of a flat brush, and we want this to be pretty loosey-goosey so that it actually splatters. And I want a little bit of that blue mixed in there. So my palette got a little off the page. I have my keyboard covered up so I'm not getting paint on it, because splatter paint just tends to go everywhere no matter how controlled you are with it. And then you're just going to tap your brush gently. I'm trying to be gentle so that the paint kind of stays where it's supposed to, but I swear it has a mind of its own. Oh, I love that splotch down there. I got off the surface there. So I love splatter painting. So I can see this is the direction I want to go in the cover. I can see, looking at this, I want to bring back some of the purples as well. So let's just come in with some of that purple. I'm in one of those modes, like I'm in my rhythm and I found my rhythm and I don't want to stop. So I don't know if that ever happens to you. And then I start to rush because I know I have an appointment in a few minutes and I'm like, but I don't want to stop. I'm on a roll. And once this is completely dry, I want to come in with some of that pewter color as well. And I can always just come in and smoosh in some other color around the edges. It's still wet, and so then we're going to get some of that nice. I love painting with my fingers. And I want to maybe even push that text back just a little bit more. I want to know it's there, but I don't need to be able to read it. Letting go of perfectionism here, letting go of needing this to look any particular way. And now I have paint splatters on my face. I can feel them splattering on my face because that paint goes everywhere. Okay, I'm going to stop because if I keep working on it, I'm going to not feel as happy and maybe feel like I have overworked it a little bit. But loving where it's going. I can see where I still want a little bit more of that white to come back in. And now I know the direction that I want to go on the cover as well. So it's coming along. I actually like seeing the difference between the splattery one and this one over here. But when I look at this one alone, I love that sort of abstract galaxy style look. And yep, this feels like an underpainting. It doesn't feel complete. So once this is completely dry, I will come back in and finish this one up, and then sometime over the weekend I'm going to get this book put together so it is ready to work in, and I have some fun ideas about how to create a collage journal that makes space for both writing and our mixed media collage work. So thanks for watching along. Happy to be here with all of you. And I'll see you guys all very soon. So if you catch me this weekend, great. If not, the recording will be there waiting. I will not be live next week. I am hosting an art retreat here in my home in Loveland, Colorado. And I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.